Hi, this is Zach with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Tuesday, the 12th of August, the glorious 12th. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which is edging up towards what our end of month target was previously, 92.40. We've actually got a rising trend channel there from back in May, top of the channel there, heading for 9400, which we're looking for now by the end of next month. Obviously, that might be helped along by peace in our time with Russia, Ukraine, etc. On the downside, hoping for nothing lower than the 90-20, 90-30 area if we do break down. Otherwise, hopefully it's up and away in terms of heading towards that 9400 zone. And as I said, looking for that by the end of next month. Onto the DAX, and here the picture still of a market that's struggling a bit. We got that resistance line there from last month, 24,400. Need to see an end of day close above that to sort of currently sandwich between the 50-day line and that feature RSI on right on neutral 50. So market sort of holding its breath at the moment. We do break to the upside through 24,400 as the top of the channel there, 25,500 or 400 rather that we're looking for by the end of next month, the way things are going. On the downside, hopefully any rug pulls will be limited to the 23,000 area. Next up is the Dow, and here you can see that it's a bit of a mess really between the 50-day line there, 43,400, and the all-time highs around 45,000. Not really much to say, especially given the way that the RSI is now back below neutral 50. So presumably there will have to be a test of the 50-day line there, around that 43,000, the mid 43,000s before we actually get a fresh leg to the upside here. Still a risk, I suppose, of a major topping there at 45,000 and then we come down. What we don't want to see is an end of day close back below the 50-day line and a move down to the price channel for 42,400. But let's see if we can get away with it. Moving on to the cryptos that we look at, and here you can see that we've got Bitcoin sort of newly revived this week and had a spike towards the 122 level. Slightly disappointing that we're back in the range, but still looking for an end of day close above 121, really, to give us a move towards 132 and the top of that rising trend channel from March. We were looking at that as a best case scenario by the end of this month, but obviously the way it's going, just with the latest failure, probably better to go for the end of next month on that. RSI still in a good place at 58, so no damage done on that front. But we have the risk of a test of 114 to 115 on Bitcoin, even if we then head higher again. Ethereum seems to be the market of the moment for some strange reason, and sort of a rotate from Bitcoin into Ethereum, which seems sensible. We've approached our second target there. The first one was around the 3,500 level, second one 44. We were looking for that by the end of this month. In fact, now it's up to 4,500 because the line obviously rises with time. And 4,500 hopefully on the cards while we're above recent support around 4,100. And best case here is up to 5,500 by the end of next month, which is the second upper parallel of that rising trend channel base from March. All very complicated, but kind of makes sense somehow. Moving on to gold, and here no tariffs on gold imports, so slightly disappointing there for the market, as you can see. Failed again at that uptrend or that resistance line there from back in April, 34.30. And we now have the risk of a test of a retest of the 3,300 area, worst case 32.20.30 on that market. RSI has fallen below the RSI 50 level, so we are in the brace position for a test of these 3,300 on that market. Moving on to the stocks, and not as many as one would have liked, maybe. So a few repeats. The first repeat is Alien Metals, is in a rising trend channel base, top of the channel there, up to 0.18. We're looking for that by the end of this month. Nice little bull flag at the moment, around 0.14, and also we've had three RSI rebounds at and above neutral 50, and in fact five if you count the ones in July. So this looks like a coiled spring in terms of the upside, especially while we're above 0.13. Cobra is next, which I've been singing the praises of over the last few weeks, and not difficult to do that, given that we've now managed to get to multi-year highs. We were looking for 4 pence. By the end of this month, it looks as though the shares might get there a little bit quicker than that. And do want to spoil the surprise in terms of what the next target will be, but next time we chart it, no doubt there will be a new target and a new significantly higher target for the shares. Upside valid at the moment while we're above the initial August resistance at 2.8 pence. Moving on to fusion antibodies, which has delivered the goods both on a fundamental and technical basis. Now see the shares finding support at the old target area, which was around 13 and three quarter pence. Let's call it 14, above 14, looking for 21 by the end of next month or even sooner. Ideally, there's no price action now back below 12 pence, the recent intraday support. On to a debut for this company. We gave it a mention in the RNS hot list and also now in the bulletin board here, gapping off the low for ICFG. But you can see that the RSI has been ultra low, in fact, basically down to 1 out of 100. So I think probably the sell off here from 55 pence or actually 60 pence has probably run its course. At the very least, looking for a move up towards the 30 area, which is just below the old April support zone. So above 20 on this situation, ICFG looking for 30, even if the shares fade again after that. On to Mkango, where I can say the charting certainly worked. We were looking for 45 pence. So far, we've only got 44 and three quarters, but nobody's perfect. End of day close above 45, and we're looking for 60 pence by the end of next month. Maybe a bit more than that, depending on how I draw the line, but say that's 60 pence by the end of September, at least while we're above the 40 pence zone. So it's a reasonable risk reward situation to go for. You can see there have been 3 clear RSI rebounds above neutral 50. On to NARF, where somebody gingerly asked me what I thought of the stock, I think last month. And it's been an interesting one, especially more interesting today that the shares are up 17% on no news. The other point to note is that the RSI has been above neutral 50 since March. And on that basis, which, if one RSA 50 rebound above neutral 50 is a leading indicator, we've had multiple ones. So maybe there is going to be an explosion on the upside for the stock, at least in terms of the logical and real world charting. We're in a rising trend channel base, top of the channel there at 0.87. And we're currently looking for that by the end of next month, while we're above the floor of the channel there at 0.47. Nativo is next, and here it's another bow to the audience in the sense that we managed to hit the target there, the top of the broadening triangle base at 0.85, right on the nose, or slightly exceeded it, and end of day close above 0.85. We're looking for a fresh leg to the upside, as high as 1.2 pence or even 1.25 pence by the end of next month. Ideally, we now stay above the old June peak at 0.67, whatever happens. On to Orosur, and you can see that there's been a fresh leg to the upside. We've had the gap through the 50-day line, which was a bit of a giveaway last month, and it's now a bull flag breakout through 12.8 pence. Above that, we're looking for 17 by the end of this month. In fact, possibly a bit more if one regards the top of the channel there as that rather than I drew previously. So I'm going for 18 or 19 pence by the end of this month, while we are above the 12 pence zone. On to Rome Resources, which I covered yesterday ahead of today's positive news. Here you can see, if I type out the right chart, that the shares have indeed bounced off the floor of that rising trend channel, and that was around the 0.24 level. We were looking for, the previous call was looking for 0.4 pence while we're above 0.24, and so looking for that 0.4 by the end of next month, or hopefully a bit sooner than that. Didn't think I'd be saying or suggesting that Reabold could be a bullish situation, but there's some crypto noises in the mix, and also we've got a rising trend channel base, or potentially have that. We need to break the 0.06 level. End of day close above that, looking for 0.08 or 9 by the end of next month. Nice bounce for the shares on the rising 50-day moving average. And all that's left now is for the 200-day line to start rising, which if you look closely it looks like it already is. So heading for a rather more positive technical situation there. Finishing off with Solvonis, and here the company delivering decent news on in terms of its PTSD treatment, and here you can see that that has caused the shares to rise 10% with a gap. Previously, we were bouncing off the old target there, 0.29. Above 2.9, we've been promised 0.45, and might even get that by the end of this month, depending on the news flow. Above 0.29, looking for 0.45 on Sol bonus. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.